to Daf Yud Daled Amud Beis. The two dots about 10 lines down, maybe 13 lines down from the top. The Gemara says, V'tamei sha'achal es hakodesh. We're finally going back to the Mishnah, where the Mishnah listed a bunch of things that a person is chayiv malchus for. And remember, as we learned before, the Torah needs to say a punishment for something. Chayiv kares, you're chayiv misas bezin. In addition, for it to be chayiv malchus, there needs to be a pasuk that says, don't do it. There needs to be a specific pasuk, don't do this. And then we learn out that's a negative commandment, and therefore you be chayiv malchus. So now, the Gemara picks up first on the case of tamei sha'achos hakodesh. A tamei person, somebody who is tamei, who eats something kodesh, eats something from the base of mikdash, a carbon. Now, if the person himself is tamei, he's not supposed to be eating something kodesh, because he's defiled. It's also for him to eat kachim meat. Now, if he does, he gets malchus. So the Gemara says. Now, in addition, also another case was somebody walks into the base of mikdash when he's tamei, he also gets malchus, in addition to getting karis. So the Gemara says as follows: Bishlam, very good. I understand habala mikdash tamei. I understand the case of somebody who enters the base of mikdash when he's tamei. The Gemara says, I understand that you'll be chayiv alav on there. You're chayiv malchus. Ksiv onish. It says the punishment. V'ksiv azhara. And there's a warning. Again, a warning means a pasuk specifically saying don't do it. How so? Onish, the punishment is d'chsiv. It says, quote, es mishkan Hashem tamei. It says he has defiled the mishkan of Hashem. V'nechresa. He will get karis. End quote. So I know the punishment. I know the punishment is you're going to get karis. Azhara, where's the warning from? Where do I see the warning for somebody who walks in the base of mikdash when he's tamei? The pasuk says, quote, v'lo yitamu es machanehem. End quote. It says you should not be tamei, make tamei the encampment of Klal Yisrael. So it means is a tamei person has specific limitations where he's allowed to go. One of them is he's not allowed to go in the base of mikdash. So there's a pasuk telling me, there's a specific pasuk with a lav telling me you're not supposed to do it. Therefore, I know you could get malchus for that. Gemara says that's understandable. That's okay. Ella, Gemara says tamei she'alchos hakodesh, but a tamei person who eats something kodesh. Bishlama onish. I understand the punishment of kares ksiv. I have a pasuk for that. Quote: V'nefesh asher tochel basar mizevach hashlam masher Hashem. It says, a soul who eats basar zevach hashlamim, which is a carbon, v'tumasa olav, if he has tum on him, v'nechresa, he'll get kares. So Gemara is saying, I know he gets kares, that's fine. But the last component, elaz hara minayin, where does it say anywhere in the Torah that a tamei person is not allowed to eat kachim? I know the punishment for it. But again, if you're going to give him malchus, there better be a pasuk that says don't do it. So the Gemara is saying, by the base of mikdash, a tamei person walk into the base of mikdash, I have a pasuk saying don't walk in the base of mikdash when you're tamei. But show me a pasuk in the Torah that says that you're not supposed to eat kachim karbanos, meat, when you are tamei. Where does it say that? It doesn't say that anywhere. So what right do you have to give the guy malchus? That's the Gemara's question. So two answers to this. Reish Lakish Amar, Reish Lakish says, quote, B'chol kodesh lo siga, end quote. This is a pasuk in Parashas Tazria, in Vayikra Parak Yud Beis pasuk Dalid. If you look at the pasuk, it says U'shloshim yom teshav meitara. It's talking about a woman who gave birth. She's tamei for 33 days. It says B'chol kodesh lo siga. In all kachim, kodesh referring to kachim seemingly, lo siga, she shouldn't touch. Vela mikdash lo yavo lo savo, and she shouldn't go into the base of mikdash. Now, further down the page, we will learn that the words b'chol kodesh lo siga, according to Reish Lakish, means, I know the word lo siga means to touch. Reish Lakish understood what it means is she shouldn't eat kachim. So this tamei woman should not eat kachim. That's your issue. See, it says lo. You're not allowed to do it. This is the source that the azhara, the warning that says don't do it. And then, once there's a lav, you transgress the negative commandment, now you can be chayiv malchus. So that is where Reish Lakish gets it from. Rabbi Yochanan Amar, Rabbi Yochanan is a different source. Again, according to the question on the table is, where's the pasuk in the Torah that says it's asur for a person to eat? Where's the pasuk in the Torah that tells me there's a warning that you're not supposed to, somebody who's tamei should not eat something that's kodesh? Where does it say that in the Torah, and therefore allow me to give him malchus? Reish Lakish says it's this pasuk. Rabbi Yochanan Amar, Tani Bardala, Bardala is the name of a person. Asya tumaso tumaso. You can make it gzer shava, the word tuma. Ksiv hachat says over here, quote, v'tumaso alav v'nechresa. It says by our pasuk, which is talking about the first wide line. It says, somebody who eats from the basar zevach hashlamim, the word v'tumas olav. That was the punishment pasuk. That's why I know a tamei person who eats something kodesh, he gets karis. But it says the word tumas olav. V'ksiv hasam, and it says when the person enters the Beis Mikdash and he gets karis, tamei yeh o tumasabo, end quote. That the tumah is on him. Malahalan, just like over there, onish v'azhara, just like over there by a person entering the Beis Mikdash, I know there's a punishment and a warning, which was sourced before. Afkan, so to here, onish v'azhara, so to over here, we're sort of making a gzer shava to tell me there's a warning also, which is a little bit of an interesting thing. What the Gemara is saying is, it doesn't say anywhere, according to Rabbi Yochanan, it doesn't say anywhere, one who is tamei should not eat kachim meat. It doesn't say that anywhere. But it does say tumaso by somebody, when it talks about the punishment of what somebody does, he'll get karis, it does say the word tumaso. It says the word tumaso by somebody entering the Beis Mikdash, tamei. Just like over there, I know you're pre-warned. There's a pasuk telling me you're pre-warned. So to here, I could gzer shavat to make it that you're pre-warned that you're not allowed to eat it, and therefore I give you malchus. So it's an interesting thing. Rabbi Yochanan is saying, there's really no pasuk, but I could give you malchus based on this gzer shava to apply a azhara, to apply a warning. And again, according to Reish Lakish, it's from the words bechol kodesh lo siga. Now the Gemara says, Bishlam Reish Lakish lo Rabbi Yochanan. I understand why Reish Lakish does not want to say like Rabbi Yochanan, because gzer shava lo gamer. He doesn't learn the gzer shava. Right? In many places we see that a person is not allowed to make a gzer shava by himself unless he has a masorah on it. So Rabbi Yochanan had this gzer shava masorah, he got it from his Rebbe. Reish Lakish didn't. So it's not a question why Reish Lakish did not learn like Rabbi Yochanan. He didn't hold this gzer shava. That's fine. But the Gemara says, El Rabbi Yochanan, my time will Reish Lakish. Why doesn't Rabbi Yochanan say Reish Lakish? Seemingly Reish Lakish is so much easier pshat. He has a pasuk. It says b'chol kodesh lo siga. And I think what's bothering the Gemara also is Rabbi Yochanan's a funny thing. You're making a gzer shava. Tell me, just like over there, I gave you a warning when it talks about going into the Beis Mikdash. So too, it's like there's a warning in regards to eating kachim meat if you're tamei. But there's no pasuk that says that. It's just you're saying just like over there's a warning, so here's a warning also, and you're giving a person malchus based on that. Why didn't you just learn like Reish Lakish from the pasuk bechol kodesh lo siga? It's pretty mefurish. So the Gemara answers, Amar Lecha, he'll tell you, Hahu azhara litruma. Rabbi Yochanan will tell you that pasuk bechol kodesh lesiga is talking about truma. It's not talking about kachim. So it's still not a proof to us when we're talking about karbanis. Where does it say a tamei person cannot eat a carbon? This pasuk bechol kodesh, the word kodesh is referring to truma, not kachim. V'reish Lakish, the Gemara says, V'reish Lakish azhar litruma minale. Reish Lakish obviously holds this as not talking about truma. So where's his source that a tamei person is not supposed to be eating truma? Nafkale, he learns it out from, quote, mi ish mizera Aaron, a person from the Zera Aaron, v'hu tsarua uzav. It says over there, somebody who is a tsarua or zav, he's either mitzora or zav. And the end of that pasuk over there is, it says, bekachim lo yochal, adasher yitar. So basically it says over there that a person should not eat. Now he shouldn't eat the kachim, whatever that means. Now Reish Lakish says, Ezu davar shu shava b'zaro shel Aaron. What's something that is shava? What's something that's equal in all the children of Aaron? In other words, it says over there, Zera Aaron. Have Omer zu truma, you should say this is truma. Zera Aaron means all the offspring of Aaron. We know that kachim meat, a lot of kachim meat is only for men and not for women. The women are not supposed to be eating the kachim meat, kachim at least. So now when this pasuk says, ish mizera Aaron, men and women, so obviously it's not referring to kachim, it's referring to truma. So this is the source where Reish Lakish knows that truma, there's an isser to eat truma when you're tamei. V'idach, the Gemara says Rabbi Yochanan. Rabbi Yochanan, seemingly that's a good source for truma. Hahu la'achila, that pasuk is referring to achila. V'ha l'negia, and this pasuk is talking about touching. In other words, Rabbi Yochanan will say, you're right, I see from that pasuk that you're not supposed to eat truma when you're tamei. But this pasuk, bechol kodesh lo siga, is talking about that you should not be touching truma if you're tamei. As opposed to Reish Lakish says, no. The pasuk bechol kodesh lo siga is talking about eating kachim. It's not talking about truma. I know the pasuk of truma. I don't need a pasuk to tell me not to touch truma. And bechol kodesh lo siga is talking about eating kachim. Good. The Gemara says, so if we stop right now, where does that leave us? So our question was, where's the source that it says, where's the azhara that you're not allowed to eat kachim when you are tameh? Rabbi Yochanan learns it from Gzeir Shava, even though it doesn't say it anywhere, but it's like it says it. Reish Lakish learns it from the word bechol kodesh lo siga. And according to Rabbi Yochanan says, no, that's talking about touching truma. Reish Lakish says, no, it's not. It's talking about kachim. Good. Now the Gemara has a new question. Reish Lakish, hi, this pasuk, quote, bechol kodesh lo siga, end quote, lahach yudasa. It's coming for this? Are you serious? You mean to tell me, according to Reish Lakish, this pasuk of bechol kodesh lo siga is coming to tell me a tamei person should not eat kachim? Hahomi baile, he needs it l'tamei shenaga b'kodesh. Seemingly, he needs it to tell me that a tamei person who touches kodesh, he should not be touching. He should not make things tamei. The itmar, as we learned it says tamei shenaga b'kodesh. If a tamei person touches kodesh, person's tamei touches karbanas. Reish Lakish Amar Loka, he just touched it. He didn't eat it. Reish Lakish says you get malchus. Rabbi Yochanan Amar Ein Loka. Rabbi Yochanan says you don't get malchus. Why? Reish Lakish Amar Loka, because quote bechol kodesh lesiga, from this pasuk. So we have a statement of Reish Lakish which says that if a person who's tamei, who touches kodesh, walks over it, touches it, and therefore makes it tamei, he just transgressed a lav. He gets malchus. Rabbi Yochanan Amar Ein Loka. Rabbi Yochanan says, of course you don't get malchus. How azhar l'truma dasa? This pasuk is referring to truma. Consistent. Rabbi Yochanan is consistent. Rabbi Yochanan says this pasuk is not talking about kachim. This pasuk is talking about truma, according to Rabbi Yochanan. So Rabbi Yochanan says if a person actually touches kachim, I don't have a source for that. You won't get malchus. If a tamei person touches kachim, he does not get malchus, according to Rabbi Yochanan. According to Reish Lakish, he does from this pasuk. Now the Gemara's question is, one second. Reish Lakish is the one who told us that bechol kodesh lo siga is referring to that if you eat kachim when you're tamei, it's usher to eat kachim when you're tamei from this pasuk. Bechol kodesh lo siga. Now you're telling me it's referring to you're not allowed to touch kachim? Make up your mind. Is it talking about eating or is it talking about touching? The Gemara answers, tamei shenaga bekodesh. A tamei person who touches kodesh, mida afke rachmana, from the fact that Torah said it, b'lashon negia, the Torah said it in a language of touching. Azhara, the change of gears over here. Azhara la'ochel iskish kodesh lemikdash. The fact that I know it's talking about kodesh, it's talking about eating, is because it's right next to the words mikdash lo yavo, mikdash lo savo. If you look at the pasuk, b'chol kodesh lo siga vel mikdash lo savo, which the Gemara is going to explain later. But basically, what Reish Lakish holds is, it's a funny pasuk. It says chol kodesh lo siga, you shouldn't touch the kachim. Now, first of all, it says touching, so Reish Lakish says that means literally touching. On the other hand, we know that touching something is not punishable by kares. Now, it's grouped together right next to the words ela mikdash lo savo. Right? It says, and you shouldn't go into the base of mikdash when you're tamei. That we know you're chayiv kares for. Now, the juxtaposition of these two things sounds like it says mikdash lo savo is chayiv kares, right next to, juxtaposed to bechol kodesh lo siga. It sounds like there's a little bit more going on over here than just touching kachim. Because why would it be next to something that you're chayiv kares? It sounds like you're chayiv kares here also. Obviously, that must be referring to not just touching kachim, but even eating kachim. So again, Reish Lakish is saying, I really have two drashas from this pasuk here. Number one, the fact that it says it in the language of touching is obviously referring to, if you touch it, it's a lo saseh, it's a negative commandment to touch it, you'll get malchus. In addition, there's also something else going on in this pasuk, tell me also eating, not from the word from the words lo siga, but the juxtaposition of next to el mikdash lo savo is telling me we're obviously dealing with something more serious than just touch him. So this is the source to tell me this is the lav that you're not allowed to eat kachim when you're tamei. Good, which the Gemara is going to say later on a little clearer. The Gemara says vakati and still lahach yudasa. The Gemara says still it's coming for this. It's coming for these two drashas, either for touching kachim or eating kachim when you're tamei. How we need it for something else. L'tamei she'achol basar kodesh. A tamei person who eats meat, kachim meat, lifnei zrikas damim, before they sprinkle the blood on the mizbeach. Before they sprinkle the blood on the mizbeach, you're not allowed to eat the kachim. We know by kachim, when you shech the animal, it's still prohibited to eat the meat until you sprinkle the blood, talking about a carbon, on the mizbech. Now we know a tamei person is not allowed to eat meat of the karbanos. Let's say a tamei person ate the karbanos meat before they sprinkled the blood, which nobody else is allowed to eat it either. Does he get an isser for being tamei also? The itmars we learned tamei she'achal basa kodesh lefnei zrikas damim. Rish Lakish Amar Loka. Rish Lakish says you get malchus. Rabbi Yochanan Amar Ina Loka. Rabbi Yochanan says you don't get malchus. Rish Lakish Amar Loka. Why? B'chol kodesh lo siga. It says kol kodesh lo siga. Any kachim you should not be touching. Again, we hold that's referring to eating kachim meat when you're tamei. Lo shna lefnei zrika makes no difference before zrika. V'lo shna la'achar zrika makes no difference whether it's after zrika, before the sprinkling of blood, after sprinkling of blood. You're going to get malchus. Rabbi Yochanan Amar Ina Loka. Rabbi Yochanan says you don't get malchus. Rabbi Yochanan tamei de Amar Kra tumaso. It says the pasuk we have Gzeir Shava tumaso. The chiksiv tumaso. When it says tumaso la'achar zrika hu dichsiv, it says it after zrika. No, according to Rabbi Yochanan, where's the source that a tamei person is not allowed to eat kachim meat? From that Gzeir Shava. Now Gzeir Shava tells me to compare it to the punishment. The punishment, you only get kares if you eat it after the zrikas dam. So for Rabbi Yochanan says, therefore the lav, the negative commandment, which would take with it malchus also, is only after sprinkling of the blood. Now, but that's a side point. But according to Rish Lakish, it's telling me even before the sprinkling of the blood, you're also going to be chayiv. It's also prohibited to eat it. It's also usher, and you're going to get malchus. So Gemara is saying, where does he know that from? He knows that from this pasuk. Kol kodesh lo siga. That's the third thing I know from this. How did he get that in this pasuk? The Gemara answers, Hahi, that is, mi, quote, mi bechol kodesh, end quote, nafka. He learned it out from the word kol, right? Kol is an extra word. It could have said kodesh lo siga. Kol kodesh means all type of kodesh he shouldn't be touching / eating. And that's come to tell me that if he eats it even before Zrika, all type of kachim, not just after Zrika, even before Zrika stamim, he is going to be over on a negative commandment. So we basically, Reish Lakish has 3 drashas over here from these 4 words. It's very interesting. Number 1, Bechol Kodesh Lusiga is telling me that a tamei person is not allowed to touch kachim. And if he does, he gets malchus. How do I know that? From the word Losiga. Why did it say a language of touching? Second of all, I know it's referring to eating also. How do I know it's referring to eating kachim? A tamei person should not eat kachim meat because it's juxtaposed next to mikdash lo savo, which has with it a chiyuv karis. So obviously, b'chol kodesh lo siga is referring to something which is a chiyuv karis. Obviously, it's referring to eating. Third of all, how do I know that means even before zrika stam, even before sprinkling the blood? That's from the word b'chol. So all 3 of those things you'll get malchus according to Reish Lakish. The Gemara says, Tanya Kavasi Reish Lakish, I have a brisa supporting Reish Lakish. It says, quote, B'chol kodesh lo siga, end quote. Azhara, this is a warning, this is a lav. La'ochel, this is a warning referring to you should not be eating kachim meat. Ata omer azhar la'ochel, your Talmud is referring to eating. Oh, inu el azhar l'nogea, maybe it's only referring to touching it, like the pasuk actually says. Talmud loimer, therefore it says, quote, B'chol kodesh lo siga vel mikdash lo savo, as we said, if you read the entire pasuk, Makish Kodesh LaMikdash. We compare Kodesh to Mikdash. They're right next to each other. Ma Mikdash, just like when we talk about entering the base of Mikdash. Davar Sheyesh Bo Netil Seshama. It's referring to something which is punishable by a person getting karis. Av Kol Davar Sheyesh Bo Netil Seshama. So too, the beginning of the pasuk is talking about something you're chayiv karis for. The Iba Negiya, if it's talking about touching, Mi'ik and Netil Seshama, do you get karis for touching meat? Ella must be, Bachila must be, we're talking about eating it. So there's a brisa like Reish Lakish. Again, the point is as follows. Number 1, it says siga. Tiga means touching. So that's the source, that's the lav, that if a tamei person touches kachim meat, he has transgressed the lav and he will get malchus. In addition, it's right next to the word Ela Mikdash Lo Savo. We know when a person enters the base of Mikdash, when he's tamei, he's chayiv karis. So too, this chol kodesh lo siga is chayiv karis. Now, it can't be referring to meat, touching meat, because touching meat you're not chayiv karis for. There's obviously a bigger picture here. Besides referring to not touching the meat, it's also referring to don't eat the meat when you're tamei. And this is the source of Reish Lakish that says you're not allowed to eat the meat when you're tamei, and therefore you get malchus for that also. Parenthetically, it also says Bakol to tell me even before Zrika Stam. So at the end of the day, what we have over here, the Gemara started again. The Gemara said, I know when you enter the Beis Hamikdash, I know a person enters Beis Hamikdash Tamei, I know he gets Malkus. Why? I have a pasuk that says the Karis, and I have a pasuk that says don't do it. That's fine. But the Gemara said in regards to a Tamei person eating meat, I have a pasuk that says Yechayev Karis. I have no pasuk that says not to do it. Where's the source that you're not supposed to do it? Where's the lav in the Torah? So that we had in Makkot, Reish Lakish and Rabbi Yochanan. Reish Lakish says this pasuk, B'chol Kodesh Lusiga. Rabbi Yochanan has a Gzer Shava that just like by the Beis Hamikdash, walking into the Beis Hamikdash, there's an Onish and Azhara. So it's over here, there's an Onish and Azhara. The Gemara said, why did Reish Lakish learn like Rabbi Yochanan? The answer is, he didn't have the Gzer Shava. Why didn't Rabbi Yochanan learn like Reish Lakish? The answer is, he learns this pasuk is talking about Truma. It's not talking about Kachim. Period. How does Reish Lakish know Truma? Where does he know Truma from? So he knows it from a different pasuk. And Rabbi Yochanan says, that's one's referring to eating, one's referring to touching. Okay. Then the Gemara said, according to Reish Lakish, you mean tell me it's talking about eating? It's talking about touching, because we know if one is tameh and he touches kachim meat, he gets malchus from this pasuk. The Gemara answers, that's from the word, the fact that Torah said it in the language of tiga, means you're not allowed to touch it. But in the juxtaposition over here, that's come to tell me that also eating it is also prohibited. Then the Gemara said, but seemingly there's a third thing over here also, that if one eats kachim meat when he's tameh, even before zrika, he's going to be over and alive. How do I know that? That's from the word bechol. So again, at the end of the day, Reish Lakish has three drashas from here. So again, when the Mishnah says a tameh sha'achos hakodesh, he gets malchus. What's the source? According to Reish Lakish, it's this pasuk bechol kodesh l'siga. According to Rabbi Yochanan, it doesn't really say it anywhere, but just like by going to the Beis Hamikdash, there's a specific lav. We gzer shava that to say over here also, there's like a lav, and therefore you could get malchus for that.